Hey, what's up? Welcome to DGen Ed. That's degenerative education, meaning none of this is financial advice. Just me having fun looking at charts and going over some data. And so this is pre-market prep for January 23rd. Just wanted to go over the volatility index, the S&P 500, Bitcoin, and a couple stocks that stand out to me, going over some data from yesterday that, I'm kind of excited about, or at least just, wanted to be watching. And so the reason why I'm not doing this as a live stream is because I got work today. And so it's probably gonna be a little bit of a short video, but yeah, let's get right into it. So here we are looking at the VIX, or volatility index. As you can see up here, closed yesterday at a price of $15.10. I did draw this light blue uptrending line. Looked like it had been support over here, a little bit right here, but we did break below it over here. And coming down to around $15 a share. The low yesterday was $14.95, looking like it's coming down to this prior low of around $14.46, which was hit back here, it looks like on August 19th, following, this big move down. So I do think that we could get another big move up like this in the future at some point, but it might be just, smaller spikes like we've seen over here. And so, I think that the volatility index is just something that is good to be keeping an eye on, especially if we do start to get down towards this downtrending level around $13 or $12 a share, especially though if we do come down to this orange line here at 10.62, which was the low that we hit on July 19th before this big move up. But because the volatility index, I believe, is only options, or at least, that is the way to be able to trade it here, looking at the options table. I personally don't like that because I don't know exactly when this is going to be spiking up, especially with the new president, Donald Trump. He can be a little bit volatile sometimes with things, which can be great for trades, but stuff can be a little unpredictable. So that is why I like to avoid the VIX, but I like to keep an eye on it. And for me personally, trading, I like to follow the UVIX, ticker symbol UVIX, which is the 2x long VIX futures ETF, which closed yesterday at a price of $28.72, being up almost 3% on the day and during pre-market. Another reason why I like the UVIX is there are pre and post-market sessions, and currently it is up about 2.23% in the pre-market. And so following this big move that we saw on August 5th, I've kind of noticed that there are about 2-week cycles where it pulls down for about 2 weeks, goes up for about 2 weeks, and just kind of repeats, with them being, approximate. We do have some shorter boxes over here, but this, was of course associated or, around the holiday season. So take these boxes with a grain of salt, but I do feel like we are kind of getting into discount territory, but some of the trend lines that I've drawn here do break. We were following this uptrending yellow line of support, but then we gapped below it, but then only to return to that level before continuing down some more. And so we did have a line that I view as kind of similar, this orange one here at $30 a share, which we have broken below. And so I view that we could be coming down to as low as right around $25 a share, but perhaps we are holding right around 28, which is this 100% extension, Fibonacci extension, based on the pivot highs and lows from January 15th and 16th. So you can see that little extension drawing that I have there. But of course, that's just based on a couple days. So this level here at 27.78, it's a little bit approximate, but really, you also might have noticed that I do have this downtrending parallel channel here in light blue, which the price has resided in for quite some time, excluding this big blip to the upside. And so coming down to test the bottom of that, we'll be getting to at least $25 a share, perhaps lower. So do keep that in mind. But I do think that, the remainder of this week and then next week, I do think that this will be forming a bottom before we get a 2-week cycle with some potential upside, which could go as high as, let's see, from this measurement here, from this green box, it could be, a move of about 82%. Or it could be a move like we more recently saw of around 43%. And so really it all just depends on what the average is relative to the bottom. And so I think on this move, my average was not at the bottom, and I ended up only taking about a 10% profit, which could have been, I believe, about 30%. I just wasn't exactly sure that it would be coming up to this uptrend, and I wasn't even sure that it'd be getting back to these prior highs, and I did not want to be holding the bag. So nice to secure profits on this when all the other stocks are down. This tends to go up, but then just looking at this on the 10-minute time frame, we can see that in the after hours yesterday it was pretty flat, but then now seeing the pre-market, the price has gone up to around $29.39. So we'll have to see where it opens at. But I do think that, I am prepared for at least a dip to 25. So I'm not chasing this just yet. But personally, I have accumulated a very, very small position. But I will probably get more aggressive if it does come down to 25. Don't want to be running away if it gets that low, running away in fear. Want to be prepared for it. But also, I did want to go over the SPX or, the S&P 500 index. And this one, closed yesterday above $6,000 a share. So looking pretty good. And we actually hit a new all-time high yesterday of $6,181. As far as I see it here, the prior high looks like it was, as marked here, $6,099.97. But I do think that we could be seeing a pullback, so I would brace for that. The reason for that being we did see kind of a nice gap up yesterday, which could have been, a really strong move that we'd see a continuation into the coming days. But the signal that we got on the day is, kind of a little bit of a spinning top with a bigger wick to the upside. And so I do think that the SPX as well as the SPY will be getting rejected and perhaps pulling back, maybe not so much, maybe just to around $6,000, but maybe it could be pulling down to fill this gap here. Let's see, what was that closing price at? $6,086.37. So I'm just going to try to, well, actually, nope, that was from today. I had it lined up incorrectly, apparently. So the closing price, it looks like it's marked there correctly, $6,051.51. So I'm just going to mark that as a dashed solid or a dashed thick blue line to show that there was a gap there. It has not yet been filled. So I could see price coming down to that level. There's also a gap down here. Really there are a lot of gaps. So we could be revisiting those levels. So I would prepare for that. And even, a pullback down to around, sub $6,000 a share, that would be, pulling back to this yellow downtrend, finding that as support potentially before the next leg up to, be holding above $6,100, perhaps getting some closes above there. So that is what I would look for. I didn't want to look at the volume here relative to over here. Unfortunately, the SPX doesn't have volume, or at least not in Webull, how I'm viewing it. But if we do look at the S&P 500, we can see that we did get, this wick higher to a high of $607.82 yesterday, closing at $606.44. With this prior high being at $607.03. So we did get a wick higher, again, a gap above. But let's see how that volume looks considering this prior high. So over here, we actually don't have that much volume backing up that topping move, but we do have a pretty big amount of volume over here when we're seeing this big pullback. Looks like this was when a dividend was paid on the 20th of December. A lot of volume there. we do see more volume from yesterday's high relative to the high that we saw over here, but much smaller compared to the drop over here and then kind of that pullback. So, I'd say that this looks good in the sense that the volume is higher yesterday on the 22nd versus the high over here, but it'd be nice if this volume was higher than what we saw between the days here. So, it's kind of like a 50-50 split, but with gaps to the downside, I do think that we could be seeing a little bit of a cool off before we really start to push, above $610 and whatnot. And so I should note that yesterday, the SPY was up about 0.5%, and the SPX was about 0.61% yesterday. Should note that. And then the pre-market with the SPY is down by about, 0.19% or down about $1. If we do look at the 10-minute time frame, we can see, it does look like there's a little bit of a pullback, but this could just be some consolidation before the next move up. But we'll see how much consolidation, how much of a pullback we do get before we start to push higher, perhaps coming down to around $596.07, which I do have marked here in red. So do keep that in mind. Next, I did want to, of course, go over Bitcoin. It does seem like we are getting a little bit of a pullback, currently trading around $102,000. I believe it was, right around 101,000. And for me personally, I would really like it to dip to below 100,000, just being a psychological level, and just to add a little bit more aggressively than my daily dollar cost averages. But I don't necessarily think we're going to get that. So before the stream, I was getting ready for my day. I did actually dip by a little bit of Bitcoin, Doge, Ethereum, and some alts. Not being super aggressive, though, as you guys know, I'm not terribly aggressive as I am still learning a lot of this stuff. But yeah, I do think that we did put in a top here. It looks like on the 20th, corresponding with Trump's inauguration, going up to around $109,000. I do think that this could be pulling back, like I said, to sub $100,000, but just in case that doesn't happen, I wanted to be accumulating more, while it's basically below, 103,000, whatnot, because I think that Bitcoin could be hitting $200,000 later this year. But I do think that we could be seeing some panic, some sell-offs, between now and then, as Bitcoin is pretty volatile. So do keep that in mind. So I did want to just switch over to the chart here to see if there's anything that stands out, just looking at Bitcoin in trading view. But yeah, nothing necessarily. Maybe I could draw an uptrending level here, just being very approximate, going to the low from January 9th. Does look like maybe there is something there. So maybe we could be pulling back to over the course of the next couple days to around 102. So that is what I would be keeping in mind. But now I did want to go over a couple of stocks that stood out to me yesterday, really looking at the unusual whales data, so I wanted to go over that. But Luminar here, ticker symbol LAZR, closed yesterday at a price of $6.26, being down about 3.5%, and continuing down in the pre-market, currently right around $6 a share. I did draw this uptrending level that I was hoping we would be holding as support, but it does look like we have broken below that, especially in the pre-market, below 610, 611, the levels that I have drawn here. And so $6, let's actually look at the pre-market price action, did dip down to a low of $5.85. And so, we'll have to see where this takes us. And so looking at this again on the daily, I could see this coming down to this downtrend, which would potentially be, around $5 a share. Do I think that's going to happen? Not necessarily. Am I ready for it? Am I bracing for it? Of course. I don't want to be left not being able to take advantage of the dip. And so I'm just going to draw a line here corresponding with that prior low of $4.93 that we hit. And let's see, I'm going to draw this line purple just because I like the color, makes me excited. And so, yeah, let's see, on, the 27th of January, that would correspond with an intersection of that prior low, forming a double bottom, intersecting with that downtrending level. So that is what I would be looking for. But I did want to be going over, let's see, data from, let's see, unusual whales. This is the, let's see, net put and call premium, also the stock price in yellow. And so what we can see is the volume here in red was negative throughout the day. So that does suggest selling of contracts. And the thing that stands out to me that's potentially bullish, although we have seen a pullback from yesterday's price action, is that the net call premium was more or less flat yesterday, closing negative 3.27 thousand. Whereas if we look at the net put premium, that came down by about $40.6 thousand, the red line here being up or neutral over the day, but then we got kind of a nice sell-off of those puts. That is bullish selling of puts. And also with the bear bull indicator here, the slider, we can see that the majority of the trades were on the bullish side, so looking good there. But yeah, of course, being right around $6 could be a nice dip, but could be bracing for around $5. So be ready for that, as I am. And then the other one that I wanted to go over, kind of excited as always with Unity Software, ticker symbol U, went up yesterday about 4%, closing at $23.06. Pre-market up only about 0.17% or 4 cents. But did have a pretty nice spike in the after hours yesterday, which might correspond with some roaring kitty activity. But really, I am excited about this. When I was covering it back over here, I did not realize at the time, but I view this as a true deep value play. I think that this could be heading up to around $75 a share, perhaps not in 2025, but I think in 2026. And so, I just think that, especially when in this downtrending channel, could be heading up to 45, and then a measured move would be up to around 75. So that is what I am looking forward to, but of course being patient with this, not being too aggressive. But yeah, we did see kind of this spike up going up to, let's see, I actually saw this going up higher. I'm just going to refresh this. Actually, I guess the refresh button doesn't work. Yeah, but, this is maybe something that stands out to me as a little bit concerning. I saw Unity Software be up, I believe, around 25. So this is pretty odd. But yeah, let's just go over to, I'm going to go over the chart here real quick. I'm just going to type in Unity Software on the New York Stock Exchange. And I am going to switch this to the 10-minute time frame because I don't need that. Yeah, I thought I saw this go up much more notably than just 23.10 or let's see, the high 23.18. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw this around $25 a share. So this seems a little nefarious to me. So I'm kind of surprised by that. But of course, one of the reasons, maybe this is a tinfoil hat, but Roaring Kitty did post yesterday. Apparently I didn't like it, so I got to do that. And yeah, so of course this is going to be related to GameStop. But I do think that this could be related to you as well. Again, a deep value play. And one thing that was pointed out, not by Roaring Kitty, but, more tinfoil hat kind of stuff from, I think, yeah, look at that U falling off, hitting that guy in the head, U right there. That was pointed out by the Bronx Viking. He did have a clip of this. But he also, has posted some other stuff. The song that is in it is I Will Wait For You by Connie Francis. And, it's just, I will wait for you. I love you. All sorts of stuff like that. Unity Software spiked up $25. Oh, I guess that was the overnight trading. So that's perhaps why it did not show up on the after hours price. So good thing to note there. He did, have a retweet. He gets a lot of trolls. It's kind of funny. He did post this, bull flag. It looks like we could be moving higher. And he did have something, let's see. Oh, yeah. On the same day that you gets, a nearly $8 million dark pool, which I'm not too familiar with those. I don't really follow them. But let's just see what he posts there. This is, almost $8 million intraday dark pool purchase. So that is, again, kind of nefarious. So yeah, I mean, I could see Unity Software going a lot higher, but also thinking about the time frame, not talking about it going up tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, I just think that this could be a really nice dip buy, and I can't forget to go over the unusual whales data that stood out to me a little bit yesterday. Here we do see volume being positive, so looking good. But overall, net call premium was down yesterday, almost $12,000, whereas net put premium was down over $500,000. As you can see, the green line net call premium just below the zero line here, whereas net put premium is much lower. And if we do look at that bear bull slider, we do see the majority on the bulls side. So that is looking pretty good. But, I do have to get running off to work. I just did want to go over these here right before doing so. But as always, those are just my thoughts. If you found them helpful, make sure you like the video, share your thoughts in the comments down below, and make sure you subscribe to the channel for more pre-market preps like this and daily videos. Take care, you guys. Have a great day trading. See ya.